Blog Talk Radio.
Following ingredients include a look behind the scenes. Cook uncovered until hot. Add grooves to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. The 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio, live from Hollywood, Florida, with your host and hostess, Mark Angelo and Jessica Lynn Cummings. Show for trans folks, by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Transition Radio, and actually live from Wilton Manors, Florida. We've been away for a week, and we've missed you all so terribly. But tonight we have a very special guest, Rajee Naransayan, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. But before we do so, we want to have a word from our sponsors.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, thebreastformstore.com. Please check them out and tell them Transition Radio sent you. Don't forget, ladies, you can win your very own pair of gold seal plastic breast forms by sending us a short video telling us why you should be the winner of these pearls.
And if you're a camera shy, and I know many of you are because we haven't received one video yet, then just send us a small letter or an essay telling us why you should be the winners of these girls, and send that letter to transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Again, that's transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Well, Rajee is the author of Beyond Face Value. Shares her story to include the box job they did at the back alley facial injection at the hands of O'Neal Morris, a.k.a. Duchess. Rajee's memoir, Beyond Face Value, takes you on a journey through a life lived with every negative influence possible. Whatever issue you had growing up, Rajee had it or worse. And she has come out the other side, beautiful on the inside and strong. Rajee's story became the focus of global attention exactly a year ago when O'Neal Morris was arrested because one of her clients almost died when she was injected with a cocktail of fix-up flat and cement, which was sealed with crazy glue, the exact same concoction that destroyed Rajee's face and body.
Beyond Face Value can teach us that no matter how bleak it seems, there is always hope. There is always a silver lining. And that no matter what, you can and should always remain true to who you are, as that will give you the strength to make it through. And here tonight to share her story with us is Rajee Naransayan. Welcome to our show, Rajee.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure.
It's our pleasure, sweetie.
Can we botch up your name so loudly?
Well, no. I mean, you pronounced it well. You pronounced it well.
That's good. We were stressing about that. I should ask her how that was pronounced. I both went to Rajee, but all the other remainder of the name was like, we're gonna probably louse this one up. But I'm glad we did a little bit.
Well, you should have seen me when I was young, trying to learn how to spell it, because it is my birth name. It's an Indian name, and a lot of Indian names are they have like a unisex kind of vibe to them. So it worked out perfect for me. I didn't have to change it.
Oh, that is perfect. Well, you know what they say. That's what the Indian culture, it's like the Indian culture strongly believes in the two-spirit, and that's exactly what we are.
That's right. I'm a firm believer in that, and I believe that we all have a divine purpose here on the planet. Although it can get really hard, our walk can be extremely challenging, but I think it's important for all trans people to remember that we all have a divine purpose, and we're here for many wonderful reasons.
Exactly, we are. And then once they realize that, their healing starts to take place, and they start realizing that it's a gift and not a curse. And I believe that through our healing, we're going to help heal the rest of the planet. And that is my view.
That is so true. That is so true. I think it's wonderful what you two are doing. And, this past year I've been on so many different talk shows and done so much media. But last night I was laying in bed and I was thinking, wow, tomorrow this is really special because these are my people. And, again, it's such a pleasure to be a part of this. So I'm happy to be here tonight with you two.
And we're happy to have you here for sure. Well, Rajee, give us a little history about your childhood and growing up feeling trapped in the wrong body.
Well, I would say I think it was pretty challenging. I think for most trans people, we have a pretty challenging walk from the beginning. About the age of 4 is when I started to realize that I wasn't acting like the other boys were acting. And I felt like something was different about me. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I did feel like something was different. And that's when the kids actually started calling me names like sissy and faggot. And, I remember this like yesterday. We had a popular neighbor in our neighborhood, Mr. Pembleton, and he was a fireman. And I remember 4 years old looking up at him and asking him what faggot meant. Well, of course, he didn't answer the question. He kind of swept it under the carpet, for lack of a better phrase. But, that was the beginning of me feeling, I would say, ostracized. And then as school came along, the bullying was relentless, and it was pretty challenging. For a long time, I identified as gay. I actually thought I was just an effeminate gay guy, because I'm not going to tell you what years we're talking about, because you never ask a lady how old she is. But let's just say in the years that I was growing up, you didn't have any of the support groups that you find now in the schools for LGBT. And there wasn't really a lot of information on trans. So I didn't actually identify as trans until, I would say I got in my 20s.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, to me, is a very gray line, because the LGBT community, to me, it's one big family. It's just different spectrums, and where we identify within that spectrum is what
exactly
makes us feel right. But to me, we're all what I call rainbow warriors, and we're here for a reason. And I think we need to unite as an LGBT community instead of fighting, instead of trying to find our differences and trying to find our sameness. And I think
I agree. I saw that early on, even when I started going out into the clubs. My thing was always like, hey, we're kind of all in the same boat. We need to unify, instead of trying to label and segregate. It's hard enough for us as a group as it is. And, to me, there's power in unity. So I totally agree with you. Instead of labeling and trying to say, okay, this one's that and this one's, something else, we are really all family. And I love that. You said rainbow warriors. I love that.
He comes up with a lot of good, inspirational names.
Well, it all comes from the heart, and I think once we all tap into our hearts, we become the creator gods that we are, and I truly believe that. Rajee, what inspired writing beyond face value?
Well, I've always loved writing. I actually have 3 other books out, but this was the big kahuna for me because this was the first time I actually sat down and wrote about myself, about my journey. And I have to say, when you write about yourself, especially if you're trying to keep the story authentic, you have to visit things that maybe you had buried away and talk about mistakes that were, maybe embarrassing for you. But, I did want to stay true to my story and be as real as possible. When the story of my botched facial injections went global last year, it was like a whirlwind. And, like I said, I was on all sorts of talk shows, Dr. Phil, Anderson Cooper, the Christina Show, Premier Impacto, Germany TV. It was like worldwide. And after, things kind of settled down a bit, I was getting feedback from people all around the world, a lot of it positive, people saying that they were touched by my story and inspired by me. But I also received a lot of negative and actually some hateful comments from people around the world. And I thought, if I was going to ever write a memoir, this was the time to do it. Because the story of my botched injections, that's only one aspect of my journey. And I wanted to sit down and write my whole journey up until this point to share with anyone that would be interested in reading and hopefully to be inspiring to anyone that reads it.
Definitely a very inspiring story.
Yeah, definitely. Rajee, tell us how you felt when you learned that someone had died by the hands of the so-called professional that you trusted, and how were you introduced to this individual?
Well, I felt sad. I felt sad for the person. I felt sad for their family and friends. I also felt scared for myself because going forward, I don't know what I'm going to face. I try to be optimistic and positive and go forward day by day, living my life with a positive frame of mind. But it did make me think, my goodness, could that happen to me? Because I did get the injections not only in my face, I got them in my breast and my hips and my buttocks. So as of now, I'm fine. I'm still going for treatment on my face because that's where I've had the really bad reaction. But as far as my body, for now I'm okay, and I'm just, staying prayerful and hoping for the best. I was referred to Duchess by word of mouth. Our community can be a bit obscure, and a lot of information is pretty much passed along by word of mouth. So I was told that she was someone good to go to. And, let's face it, for especially trans women, this whole, getting pumped or black market injectables, it's almost been like a rite of passage for, many years. You get on the hormones, and then the next step is to do some sort of facial or body alterations. And, a lot of us, because of our economical status situation, we're not able to go to a accredited doctor. So we go that route. And for some girls, it works out fine. For others, like myself, I had a really bad reaction from it. And for others, unfortunately, girls have died from it. So I would say the reason why I went public with my story is to kind of make lemonade out of lemons. Take my situation and hopefully educate the public on the dangers of this sort of thing. Because I know now that I could have died. I know now that I may have not even been here to share my story. So yes, I'm just so thankful that I am.
Yes, definitely. And it's unfortunate that the medical industry in the world today doesn't help to cater more to the transgender community. The medical itself, I mean, medical insurance and stuff like that, they refuse to cover transgender issues. And,
exactly.
you know, I think this is a big part of the problem.
I have something to add, though. I think that it's sad that transgender individuals feel that they have to do all these things to their body to be who they are. I think the true nature of us is within us. It's our spirit. And if we look back in ancient times, the two-spirit individuals expressed themselves the way they saw fit, but they didn't do the things that we do today, which is very harmful to ourselves. And I think that's a big lesson here for the trans community, that there is no need to actually hurt. I don't think that the more surgeries you do, the more things you do to beautify yourself, it's going to make you beautiful. You become beautiful from the inside out. I mean, that's my view.
Well,
right.
You know, and some of us have to learn the hard way. You know, the title of my book, Beyond Face Value, I came to the realization that, you know, the beauty part, the physical part, is really only temporary. And when I'm on my deathbed, I don't think I'm going to be thinking about how I look. I'm going to be thinking about who I touched, you know, along my life's journey and the good things that I did to contribute to the planet. So, you know, it is so true what you two are saying. It's just that it's unfortunate because I think, you know, we live in a very superficial world, and what happens is you start to feel the peer pressure of trying to, and I'll speak as a trans woman, trying to feminize yourself more because people, when you're transitioning, especially when you're kind of in that in-between stage, I'd call it like androgyny, people can be extremely cruel. And you know, it's easy to say, well, the hell with people, who cares what people think, but, you know, when you're living it and you're feeling the pressure of trying to fit a particular image, it can be really difficult for someone, and a lot of times we resort to things like black market injectables. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying it's kind of perpetuated by the way society is.
We have to be leaders, and we have to toot our own horn, and we have to teach people that it's not all about the outside, that we're beyond that. You know, as you said, beyond face value. We are, to me, we're very spiritually advanced beings, and we're here to actually show that androgyny. To me, androgyny is the most beautiful thing. It's part of that balance between the yin and the yang.
Right, and that's true to the point, because like Rajee was saying, you know, I mean, here we are, we're trying to live our lives as the opposite sex that we were born in, as that's how we feel, and that's why we present that in that way, and society can make it very difficult for us to live androgynous. So it's either one way or the other. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to go that route, but
I don't think so. I think we need to educate society. Well,
yeah,
we stop a lot of the heartaches and the problems that we see. Anyway, Rajee,
and you know, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, and hopefully, when people see someone like myself and hear about other situations that didn't go so well, it'll be a warning to like the younger trans generation coming behind us, so that they won't go down that road, you know. So I got some flack from some of the trans communities, the trans girls that feel like I shouldn't have said anything, you know, that basically I should have just stayed quiet about this whole thing. But my thing is that I don't feel like if I hadn't taken this platform and really talked to people about what happened to me and my story, that I would be doing justice to the situation and helping the generations that's going to come behind, you know. So it's just one of those things for our community. I mean, I think we could probably debate on the whole thing of, like, appearances, and then, not caring about what people think and being true to oneself, because there's a lot of things about androgyny that I think is beautiful, and I actually have moments where I don't really even feel male or female. I feel kind of like somewhere in the middle there. So,
and that to me is the beautiful thing, as part of that balance. I've always said that healers need to go through healing before they can help others heal. Tell us what you think your journey has done for you and how you're helping others now.
Mm-hmm. Well, through my therapy, because I bit the bullet for so many years, and I didn't go for any sort of like counseling and therapy. And about 2 years ago, I was at the point where I felt like I was just going to lose it, and my world was kind of collapsing in on me. And thankfully, I went and got some help and some therapy, and I realized that I suffer from things like agoraphobia and post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. And I said to my therapist, I said, my goodness, how did I go this long, just biting the bullet? And I think that the thing is that a lot of us trans people, we just kind of like are in survival mode, and we're not dealing with the issues, and so all of that stuff kind of gets bottled up in you, and then eventually it's going to come out in some way. So I say all of that to say that through my therapy and my spiritual growth, I've been doing a lot of stuff with science of mind, with the whole thing about the law of attraction and how what we think attracts, the way we think it attracts certain things to our lives, and that we have the power to create the lives that we want. So in my journey, all of these things that I've learned, what I've tried to do is I've tried to share it. And not only through my book, because I talk a lot about those things in my book, but through going out and speaking with the Yes Institute and advocating for the LGBT community and just sharing my story, because I think we all can inspire one another. We all can touch each other's lives. And when I talk to other trans people, sometimes it's just meeting a trans girl somewhere and we just start talking, and I'm like, oh, my God, you go through that too, or you feel like that too? And I realize the importance of talking and communicating and us, coming together and really having the conversation. So.
Exactly. Well, speaking of that, I've noticed that a lot of transgender individuals also suffer from arachnophobia. They also suffer from OCD, anxiety, and I truly believe that it's part of the energy that we have within. It's like a special energy that creates all these issues, because I've seen and heard of many, many individuals that suffer from the same conditions that are trans. It's an amazing thing.
Well, it is. And I think, too, it's a lot of, because a lot of us, we were traumatized growing up, and, you're dealing with a lot of bullying. And my thing is, it's so funny, I was telling my therapist the other day, I can sit on TV or be on the radio with you two talking in front of thousands or millions of people, and as long as I know in my mind I'm in a safe forum or I'm in a safe platform, a safe space for me to share my story, I'm fine. For me to pull up to a mall and get out and walk through the mall can be a challenging thing for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I live my life and I do what I need to do, and I'm very active in the community, but I'm just being real about my fears. If I were to go to, let's say, one of the big malls here in South Florida, I'd probably sit in my car for about a half an hour just trying to get myself together to get out and go, because it's the fear of the unknown. How are people going to react to me? Am I going to have to deal with any sort of adversity? Because unfortunately, a lot of us girls have dealt with violence. I've been beaten up a few times in my life. So, we have those things that we deal with. But again, we need to, instead of being victims, be victorious. And that's what I'm trying to do with my life. I'm making a choice to be victorious. And every day it's a challenge for me, but I'm determined to do it.
Right, exactly. And that's the way it should be. So,
Thank you.
what inspires you, and what message do you have for our trans brothers and sisters in the community?
Well, first of all, I'm inspired by the trans people that have come before us, because I know that they have a harder road, and that we stand on the shoulders of those people, the ones that have come and gone. And I know that you and you two and myself and other trans adults, we are paving the way for the generations of trans people that are going to come behind us. And I just want to tell all my trans brothers and sisters to, hold your head up high and know that we are truly special individuals. That, the fact that we have, the duality, that two-spirit energy, that makes us special. Despite what society may think, it makes us special, and know that inside, and know that you're here for a divine purpose.
Exactly. And we all have a mission.
And that's why Transition Radio was born, to try to allow people to see this and to let all our brothers and sisters' voices be heard, and so that we could unite and feel that we're many, we're strong. So definitely.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm such a crybaby at times, but I just get so passionate and emotional about our journey and the work that we're doing. So.
Well, we have somebody in the chat room that just said, my heart goes out to her, meaning you, Rajee, and that they love your positive, comforting messages.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's people like, yourself that send me messages of encouragement that help me to continue going forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Why don't you tell the listeners how they can reach you and how they can purchase your book, Beyond Face Value?
Okay, well, Beyond Face Value is on iUniverse.com. It's on Amazon.com. It's available on Kindle. It's on all of the worldwide online book retailers. So, you can pretty much go to any book retailer site and find it. And as far as getting a hold of me, I'm on Facebook, Rajee, Rajee. If you type that in, I'll probably pop up right away. So you can send me a message on Facebook. Also, I have a YouTube channel, and it's also under Rajee, Rajee. Rajendra Narangsu, but if you put the Rajee in, I'll probably pop up. You should be able to find me.
Well, thank you so much, Rajee, for being on the show. We're definitely going to have you live on the TV show here in our studio, probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So definitely be contacting you to be on the TV show. We appreciate you being on the radio show and sharing your message and your story.
And it's a pleasure to have a friend like you, sweetie.
Definitely. Jandy Rainbow wrote this track that I'm about to share at the start of 1991, the next day after seeing a transgender woman being humiliated on a tram. So here we have this great pleasure to present to you In My Shoes by Deconstruct from Queensland, Australia. Thank you for your support and donation for writing this song. Thank you, Rajee. It looks like either we got disconnected or you hung up or something, but we look forward to having you on the TV show. We thank you, all listeners, for being part of this beautiful mission and journey we're on to let you know how wonderful and blessed you are to be a two-spirit soul. We love you, but remember to always love yourselves
And don't forget to join us next week.
Yes.
When we have Alana and Culture.
And not next week, this Thursday.
This Thursday, I'm sorry. Yes. Our next show.
Our next show.
And she is the author of Hung in the Middle.
Yes.
So that'll be a great show, so don't miss it.
Yeah, they're wonderful individuals and great friends.
Definitely.
So here we go, In My Shoes, all the way from Australia. Thank you, Jandy, for this wonderful contribution.
I couldn't stand the laughter. I couldn't